Hey, all you minties, this is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and join me today for a look at the JLA by Grant Morrison Omnibus from DC Comics, so please stay tuned. And welcome back, everybody. Now, it's interesting because I was going to do an advanced view of this, but I realized that some people already have this omnibus. It was released, I think, last week in Canada. You lucky Canadians, you know I got much love for you all. And then it was supposed to be released here in the direct market a couple of weeks ago, but because of the whole Diamond thing and the transition from Diamond to Lunar and Midtown Comics, they decided to push it back until this Wednesday, November 18th. But it is finally here. It's already available at places like Cheap Graphic Novels. If you want to go there right now and check it out, pause the video. Please come back, or don't forget to hit like. But here it is, $150, 1,504 pages. Let's check out the image under the dust jacket, the spine under the dust jacket, and then the back here. So here we are. Grant Morrison. Let's see what this book is about. I can't believe it is finally here. JLA by Grant Morrison. One of my most wanted DC Omnis for well over a decade. Ever since I started getting my first DC Omnibus. This is pretty interesting. This tells you the cast of characters that you're going to be reading about. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, Aquaman, and this is during Peter David's run. So it's pretty interesting because this is the 90s, and I know a lot of people are like, 90s comics are the worst, but there are some amazing... No, you know what? There's a lot of really good 90s comics. If you have that mentality, you're missing out on quite a few number of great books, including this one. So, JLA, Justice League of America, wasn't selling that well, and DC decided to revamp it. And who are they going to get to revamp it? This young cat named Grant Morrison. Guess he wasn't really that young at the time. And he chose the artist Howard Porter to take over the art. Sorry, had to adjust the camera angle here. Make sure you get a good enough picture. Give you an idea of what this looks like. So yes, Howard Porter is the main artist on most of the book, actually. He does a lot of this. So, first order of business is Blue Lightning Superman. We gotta do something about him. Grant Morrison was like, what do you mean he's Blue Lightning? I can't have regular supes? So what he did was kind of a flashback introduction to the JLA. Second order of business is get rid of that Justice League of America cast that wasn't selling. So a lot of them kind of get, well, no spoilers here. They kind of get put aside, if you will. But don't worry, if you're a fan of the Blue Lightning Superman, guess what? He makes a comeback within the first 5 issues. So now we're caught up on modern time. And here we are in the 90s with modern comics. We're caught up. And you have a completely different new cast of characters that are joining the Justice League. A little bit of a spoiler here, but I do have to talk about some of these cast members because they do look different. Yes, Superman is Blue Lightning because he found these new powers during this time. Kyle Rayner is Green Lantern because Hal Jordan is not around. Not his right self, if you will. Green Arrow is Connor Hawke, not Oliver Queen, because I guess Green Arrow is also disposed of during this time. And there is going to be a lot of changes just within the pages of Grant Morrison's run. A lot of characters are replaced sometimes, even Wonder Woman, Flash himself, who was Wally West at the time. But it was really cool to see Grant Morrison just roll with the punches. He had to work with editors, and he was like, yeah, sure, alright, whatever, I'll make it work. Yeah, Wally West isn't Flash anymore, sure, I'll write it into the story. And I thought he did such a really good job of doing that. This series right here, Rock of Ages, oh man, up there. But by far my favorite is the final story that he writes, and that is World War III. So, let's get this out of the way. What does this collect? Because that's the main thing. That's why you're here watching the video. This collects JLA 1 through 17, 22 through 26, so skipping 18 through 21, which is the Mark Waid run. And I'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. It collects issues 28 through 31, issue 34, and issues 36 through 41. It also collects JLA Secret Files number 1. We'll go back to what some of these missing issues are. New Year's Evil Prometheus #1. Prometheus is such a badass. This guy could take down the entire Justice League by himself. Sure, he used some CD-ROMs, but, you know, his technology is a little outdated, but he was still the freaking man. Also collects JLA Wildcats #1, DC 1 million 1 through 4, Green Lantern, Starman, Detective Comics, JLA, Adventures of Superman, Martian Manhunter, Resurrection Man, Superman Man of Tomorrow, DC 1 million. All of those DC 1 millions. That's a lot. And DC 1 million, the 80-page giant. JLA Earth 2, which is a solid story with Frank Quietly. JLA Classified 1, 2, and 3. I'm so glad they included that. And Secret Origins 46. So, missing issues. I've already talked about the first Mark Waid issues, 18 through 21. 27, I believe, was Mark Miller wrote that, if I'm not mistaken. 33 was Mark Waid, so that will be collected in an upcoming Tower of Babel Deluxe Edition hardcover, as well as those other Mark Waid issues. And issue 35, which I think is the J.M. DeMatteis issue that ties into the Day of Judgment. So what's really missing from this are those two issues, because we're going to get a Mark Waid Deluxe hardcover. It's going to be as tall, it's not an omnibus, but it's missing those two issues. They're going to be Orphan, the Mark Miller issue, and the J.M. DeMatteis. Are they necessary? Am I mad? Okay, those are two different answers. Are they necessary to enjoy this? No, not at all. Not at all. Am I mad? I'm okay with that decision, I guess. I guess they wanted to just make it primarily, or just everything, Grant Morrison. But I think we're at a point in time of these collected editions that people like me want everything in chronological order. If I'm to give away my single issues, or sell them, or get rid of my trade paper, even the trade paperbacks had the Mark Miller and J.M. DeMatteis crossover event. But, you know, I don't make decisions at DC. But I'm okay. I mean, that's just a small gripe. What I wish they didn't do, though, was collect all those issues of the DC 1 millions. We've already had an omnibus of that. Okay, so I guess if you didn't have that omnibus, no, I still would not have collected. I would have collected the main story and then JLA 1 million. That's it. But for some reason, they decided to collect all those issues of 1 million. I would have collected his other Secret Origins. There's so many Secret Origins that he wrote. I don't know why they left him out of this, but whatever. Small little gripes. The main draw of this story, though, is this wonderful just modernization of the Justice League. Look at Howard Porter's artwork. I love the fact that he changes it a little bit here. We're introduced to a brand new cast of villains. This is when Wildstorm started coming over a little bit, when Jim Lee made that deal with DC. Long before he was, what is he, president? I don't even know what he is anymore. So this book really gives me a lot of hope, because we get this omnibus. They have solicited a Mark Waid oversized hardcover, the Tower of Babel oversized hardcover, which is the best Justice League story, by the way, for next year. But it also gives me hope. Maybe we'll get a Joe Kelly run. That would be awesome in omnibus format, because there's a lot of freaking awesome stories that Joe Kelly wrote. As a matter of fact, like, some of my favorite ones come from his run. And that, I mean, this is just the beginning. I love it. I love that I finally have JLA in oversized format in one omnibus, and with Grant Morrison. It's one of the few titles that DC still had that I've always wondered why they never released it in omnibus format. There's Aztec. That's another thing that's missing from here, is the Aztec miniseries, which I think that would have added. They would have had to have made 2 omnis if they had added that. But honestly, I think they would have sold. I mean, it's Grant Morrison, it's Justice League. If you had made it 2 omnis, this would have sold. If they had not orphaned any issues. A little bit earlier, I talked about some of the new cast members that joined, like Green Arrow and Green Lantern. But there's also the Huntress. Plastic Man ends up joining. There's an Angel. Is he really an Angel? Zariel. I'll leave you to find that out. Aztec joins the team. Oracle. And then, oh gosh, I don't want to spoil anything, but there is some badass moments in this particular omnibus. If you've never read this, think less 90s spandex and extreme, but think more Grant Morrison. This does feel like an epic Grant Morrison story. To me, I mean, this is up there with like his new X-Men run. There's ups and then definitely there's downs, but there's a lot more ups, and that makes up for those lows. So let's look at some of this oversized artwork. I'm glad they did include the JLA too, though. Yes, right here. So this has been collected in deluxe editions, has been collected in trade paperbacks, but now it's part of this huge omnibus. And it's a necessary read because this introduces us to the characters of Superwoman, Owlman, Ultraman, Power Ring, and Johnny Quick. Not introduces us, but really reintroduces us to a new modern take on these characters. And they do play a big part later on in other DC events. I assume this right here is the other miniseries, JLA Classified, because if I'm not mistaken, this is Ed McGuinness's artwork. Yep, I had to double check, but I can't show you that page because it's a spoiler. This serves as a follow-up to that JLA too. And then what wraps up this omnibus is the Secret Origins. But like I mentioned, he did write some other Secret Origins, so I'm surprised those are not collected in here. Now, let's look in the back here for some extras. Making sure I'm censoring that final page, but you have some pinup artwork here. So you have trade paperback covers. This is from JLA New World Order, JLA American Dreams. This is it's the White Martian storyline. This is, of course, Rock of Ages, which is one of probably my second favorite Morrison JLA story. Strength in Numbers, and of course, World War III. Or no, Justice for All. World War III was the story that wrapped it up. Some sketches of the Knight and the Squire and Prometheus. There's like a future storyline in here, but you're in for a treat if you've not read this stuff. And there's some sketches, and then the bio of where you can find these wonderful folks. Now, let's look at this binding. So the book is sewn binding, and there is the eye, 1,504 pages. It's a pretty big book, and honestly, the binding isn't terrible. The only thing I have, and this is probably my copy right here, and I hope this is just my copy, but you can see where the page is coming off of the ribbon a little bit right here, which sucks for me, but I hope, like I said, it's just my copy. But for the most part, other than that, it's a pretty good binding, honestly, for a DC book that's 1,500 pages plus some. I just want to showcase a little more of that artwork. And taking it all the way to the back here, where you can see the book is trying to shut a little bit. Not much. I'd say after a few openings, that will be fine. But that, as they say, is that. And if you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, please don't forget to check out our sponsor, CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online source for collected editions up to 50% off retail price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on excellent packaging, so your stuff gets to you in excellent condition, and they have amazing customer service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And for all you Minties that are watching, if you're a first-time customer, don't forget to mention that Near Mint Condition sent you their way for a promotional credit on free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your source for the hottest books with deep discounts, customer service, and excellent shipping that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the page count, the build, and the content of this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you've picked it up, if you're going to pass on it, if you're disappointed that it didn't collect everything in chronological order, or if you're just happy with the Grant Morrison stories and you will be picking up the Mark Waid OHC. Like I mentioned, it's not really a deal breaker, but I completely understand. I myself have been waiting well over a decade for this omnibus, so I wanted it to be complete as possible, but hey, it's still Grant Morrison JLA in oversized format. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. You ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We can be found on Redbubble and on Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. More importantly, please everybody, stay healthy, stay safe, and much love to all of you.